India development debate right here on ET Now. I'm Supriya Shrinate, and we're going to put the spotlight now on India's powerful Me Too movement, because there seems to be a sudden twist to the Me Too movement right now. Faced with sexual harassment charges from at least 10 odd women out there, Minister of State for External Affairs Akbar has gone on the offensive. The former editor of the Asian Age and Telegraph newspapers today slapped defamation charges against Priya Ramani, who was the first to level sexual harassment charges against Akbar. In his petition filed at the Patiala court, Minister Akbar says that Ramani's charges against him are defamatory and have caused irreparable damage to his reputation established after years of hard work. Remember, on his return from Nigeria on Sunday, he had rejected all charges against him, leveled by all these women, even as he raised questions over the timing, talking about the crucial assembly elections, where he really has no play. Now, interestingly, the counter-attack by Akbar comes at a time when the Modi government is in a huddle to decide the fate of this minister. Akbar is not alone. Noted author Chetan Bhagat today took to columnist and yoga expert Ira Trivedi for making frivolous charges against him. Alok Nath has already filed a defamation suit. So will the offensive against the victims take the sting of Me Too movement? Will the flood of accusations diminish the seriousness of the real issue? How effective will the judicial probe proposed by the government be, given the fact that most incidents happened some years ago and there is hardly any concrete evidence to support the charges? All of that and a lot more right here on the India Development Debate this evening. Let's take this straight across to our experts who are joining us right here. We've got Flavia Agnes, women's rights lawyer and co-founder Majlis, Dr. Ranjana Kumari, Director, Center for Social Research, Smita Prakash, Editor, News ANI, and Neerja Chaudhary, political commentator and columnist. So thanks each one of you for being with us. And Neerja Chaudhary, if I may begin talking to you about MJ Akbar. He has sued the first female journalist who started all the allegations against him on this Me Too movement by filing a criminal defamation case. He's accused Priya Ramani of willfully, deliberately, intentionally and maliciously defaming him on, I'm quoting him here, on wholly and completely false, frivolous, unjustifiable and scandalous grounds. Is he being simply brazen? I don't think Neerja can hear me, can she? Okay, Smita, will you take on that question? Is Minister Akbar at this point in time being completely brazen? Instead of, actually resigning and proving himself innocent, he's going on the offensive by filing this criminal defamation suit.
Yes, indeed. It's extremely distressing, shocking, because he's a very powerful man. And he's using that power against a group of women and dividing them by singling out one, singling out just Priya instead of the bunch of them, while accusing them initially that they were working as a mob, as a pack of wolves against him. But then when it came to filing a case, he singles out just Priya, and then he's filing a case against her and over 90 lawyers to fight his case. Really, is this not power play if nothing else? And it's extremely distressing now, because Priya will have to now, she lives in Bangalore. This case has been filed in Delhi, up and down, the cost involved. There are a bunch of women who came out to speak against Mr. Akbar. This was not a political conspiracy, unlike what he's trying to say. This was somehow women felt empowered. Once she started it, once Tanushri started in Bollywood, it was a kind of a dam that burst. So this really is something which is not a conspiracy. He should have just stepped aside, waited for his name to clear, and the government should have instituted an inquiry, just as the media has done, just as Bollywood has done, just as comedians have done, just across the board artists have done. They've all instituted their own system of cross checks and found out whether the person is guilty or not, and people have stepped aside on their own, apologized, resigned, stepped aside and said, we're sorry for what we did, and if you felt that this is what happened, this was something that was expected of Mr. Akbar.
Right. Okay, Smita Prakash, hold that thought, because you're bringing a very important point to the table, and that point is allegations have been raised by about 10 odd women. He's singling out only one of them, and that's Priya Ramani, and really taking the battle to her. And it's not over 90 lawyers, it's 97 lawyers representing him. If sexual harassment is not power play, 97 lawyers representing one man against one woman definitely is. But let me take this across to Neerja Chaudhary. And Neerja, could his decision to go the whole hog, could his decision to dig in his heels be taken, the legal recourse that he's taken, slap a criminal defamation suit. Could he have done all of that without the clearance at the highest level, both in the party, that's the Bharatiya Janata Party, and the government?
No, I don't think so. And it's very, very highly unlikely, even though the Bharatiya Janata Party is distancing itself from his actions. But surely it is not possible for him to remain as a member of the government without the clearance from the top. So that, I mean, one should have no illusions about that one. But Mr. Akbar has not only not resigned, which many hoped he would do, pending an inquiry, a fair, credible inquiry. He's not only not resigned, nor has he said, I will submit myself to any inquiry. Instead, he slapped on a defamation case against one of the complainants, and as you were pointing out, in a show of I will show you. I mean, with a show of power, his position, 97 advocates. So it's a very, this was a very extraordinary seminal moment in the history of the country, with so many women taking courage in their hands and speaking out about things which had been shrouded in complete silence for decades. And it needed an out of the ordinary response from the government. And I agree that, while Times of India, Hindustan Times, even Gautam Adhikari has resigned from one of the American think tanks, and with Nana Patekar moving out of Houseful 4, these kind of, resignations have taken place, but the largest organization in the country, the government of India, has not taken a similar position, and that is very disappointing.
Absolutely, yes. And exactly my point. The largest organization, the organization that talks about women empowerment, that talks about making workplaces safe, fair, and a place of pride for women, the organization that has given such a fantastic slogan, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, doesn't want to stand up against his own minister, doesn't want the minister to submit himself to inquiry, and that, if you ask me, is heartening. It's very, very annoying. But anyways, Flavia Agnes, I will come to you. In fact, give me a minute. I'll just go across to Ranjana Kumari and then come to you. And Ms. Kumari, are you surprised by the flow of events as far as Mr. Akbar is concerned? It's not just him who's being blatant, it's the BJP that's also brazening it out. I mean, and are you surprised at all? Because this is a party and this is a government that did not sack Kuldeep Singh Sengar, the BJP MLA who's in custody for rape and murder as well.
Well, I'm not surprised at all, and I am not feeling any, disappointment in the whole story. It is just started, and Mr. Akbar will have to resign. I'll tell you why. Because at the moment he is showing his power with 97 lawyers, with all the cabinet ministers. Even his minister, the senior minister, is a woman called Sushma Swaraj. So I don't see that, there is any way he can. Where is he trying to hide? He's trying to hide behind the legal system, where the system will stand with these girls. They have to, all these women will have to go and file FIR, and then Mr. Akbar will be taught a lesson by the people of his constituency. They should call for recall of Mr. Akbar, because he is a public person. He's not a private person. He's representing a nation, and he's a spokesperson for Government of India as a foreign minister, going abroad and talking about all these great, the whole world knows what kind of a safety women are really been experiencing in this country, and what kind of a Beti Bachao is going on. All these farce things will be exposed because this man sitting in the cabinet and Prime Minister of India covering him up. It is totally unacceptable for the women of this country, and I can tell you this is loud and clear message. In case Mr. Akbar is not asked by the Prime Minister, by the cabinet, by his party, Mr. Amit Shah, if he is not been asked to resign, and if they are trying to show their strength and their power, there is something bigger waiting. There is people's power. I think I can tell you that this message is going loud and clear to people of India, that nobody cares. People sitting in power, they don't care. Okay. This man who has violated, known habitual violator, and I can tell you, listening to the stories from many journalists, I can tell you they have confided in me. He has done it. He is responsible, and he will have to go. There is no way Prime Minister of India can protect him.
Okay, okay. Give me a minute, Ranjana Kumari. I just want to get the politics out of the room before I go to his, exact petition and what he's saying. And Flavia Agnes, at one level, Mr. Akbar is on the offensive. He's dismissing charges of sexual harassment and he's choosing to spin an unconvincing web of conspiracy linking it to elections. I mean, what political heft does MJ Akbar have to talk about this impacting any elections in states or in the center?
I mean, this is the most shocking thing. How did these 14 women know that Tanushree Datta was going to speak out about an incident that happened in her life on the sets 10 years ago, and she was expressing her despair, her anguish, and saying that how in the film industry women have no space. Then Priya Ramani tweeted that my earlier article that I wrote was in the context of MJ Akbar, and when she did that, several women came out on their own against MJ Akbar, against every single person from various industry, media houses everywhere, and they were coming from all nooks and corners of the country. Things that happened a decade ago, 2 decades ago, and they were all airing out their anguish, their grievances, and they were saying that we don't have any mechanism, we didn't know where to go. And here the people, the bosses in power have been doing this for us as young journalists, young actors and different industry, all that. And somebody like MJ Akbar, who is so savvy politically and who is a great journalist, can see a media conspiracy here or a political conspiracy here, that elections are coming and it's for you to judge. I mean, he's made this statement that suddenly 8 months before or 9 months before the election, this campaign has broken out. That is the sad part for him, that the campaign is broken out
Agnes.
9 months before the elections, or for the BJP. So it is the BJP for them to make amends right now.
Okay, Flavia Agnes, I have a legal...
and step away from Akbar.
Okay. Flavia Agnes, I have a legal question to ask of you, and then I'm going to quickly go across to Smita Prakash and Nija Chaudhary. My question to you, Flavia Agnes, is that his second and more specific defense is that the charges that have been leveled against him are vague and unsubstantiated. And I agree, there is perhaps very little evidence, very loose evidence, and so it's all going to be, down to she said, I said, she versus me kind of a thing. Or do you believe the courts will rely on a pattern that these women have quoted, the pattern that these women have, narrated in their stories? Is that going to at all be something that they will use in the court of law?
You know, when there is sexual harassment at workplace, the Bishaka guidelines, what does the Bishaka guideline laid down in 1997? What is sexual harassment at workplace? We are not talking about rape. We're not even talking about molestation. This is very subtle. It happens all the time. It is sexually colored comments. It is making the environment non-congenial for women to work in. It is a very broad definition that has been given by Justice Verma in the Bishaka guideline. And further, in the Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act that came in 2013, the same definition is carried forward. Now here, when the women are saying this happened to me, it is the perception of the victim that matters, not what the accused is saying. It is how she perceived a particular glance, particular touch, particular proposition that the person makes.
Right. What is
so if she is able to say all these things convincingly, then there is a case over there. It is not proving beyond reasonable doubt as in a rape case. And everybody in the legal field, and including the 97 lawyers who are defending Akbar, must better understand this.
Mr. Akbar, I hope they do. My question is, I hope they do. But Smita Prakash, can I ask you a very frank question? One, of course, is on, quoting elections around the corner. You and I know that Mr. Akbar has no political heft. He perhaps will not be able to influence even one vote for the BJP, either in this election or the general elections. So that's one point taken. Mr. Amit Shah had very recently said that we have to check the veracity of the post and the person who's posting it. Is the government being strictly guided here by legal evidence against Akbar and not by the posts that are coming in this very powerful narrative or on social media? And isn't it also ironic that the same government which championed social media is now consciously delegitimizing the dominant narrative that's on it, which is Me Too?
Look, Supriya, I don't have the foggiest idea why the government, why the BJP government is standing behind Mr. MJ Akbar. Not one spokesperson has vociferously defended Mr. Akbar so far. There's just been very watery kind of a defense for Mr. Akbar. I think everybody, it's like the elephant in the room, something that everybody is aware that it's an indefensible thing, but then somewhere they have decided that they are not going to get rid of him, they're going to stand by him. Why this, whether this is politically expedient, I have no clue as to why they would do something like this. Also, you know, the fact is that this intimidation by Mr. Akbar, it's really sending out the wrong signals, as you quite rightly put, and the other panelists have said, that it really sends out the wrong signals, whereas while the top rung of the BJP government is turning around and saying that, you know, they stand by women, they've taken several decisions which are seen as pro-women. Women do feel more empowered today than they did 20 years ago when this happened. As the lawyer on the panel has said, that 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we did not feel safe enough. We as in women did not feel safe enough in the workplace to, you know, to speak out against male bosses. It was we wanted to get our headlines, we wanted to get our bylines, we wanted to get the best stories. So you kind of lumped it. You just did not speak out. And today, if women are speaking out, it's not because of any political conspiracy. Women do feel empowered. There is a cyber sisterhood. There are lawyers. There are women in power who are out there supporting. But where I feel women feel let down are, where are those male journalists? Where are those people who were working along with Mr. Akbar, who were sniggering at bars, who were sniggering at parties, laughing at Mr. Akbar? Where are those men supporting the women today?
I think too many skeletons in their own cupboard, and which is why they've chosen to keep quiet, Smita, and that's exactly what comes to my mind as well. All of these male journalists who have such powerful opinion on everything that happens in this country today have no opinion on this powerful movement about women. So I think it's a given that we are in this alone. There are very few men out there who are willing to stand by us, but I think as far as women in this country are concerned, we really are in this alone. I think we need to make our peace with that. But you know, Neerja Chaudhary, I'll ask you the question, and this is a more political question on this entire issue. MJ Akbar tries to brazen it out, digs in his heels, decides this is all conspiracy, goes for a criminal lawsuit, 97 lawyers. This is power play. Does the government have the luxury to stay silent on this? I mean, don't they look blatant? And to my mind, I don't understand why the BJP is doing this, because the BJP cares a lot about perception. They love headline management. What has happened to that? Do they fear they will be seen as weak-kneed, and so it's better to let him continue?
You know, politically also, if you view it, I don't fully understand it, because of course Mr. Amit Shah says the veracity of all these posts must be gone into. Of course, there must be a proper inquiry to go into it. But all that the women have been asking is, while that inquiry is going on, let Mr. Akbar step down so that the inquiry can be fair without any pressure, and the perception also of the inquiry be fair. Now, without Mr. Akbar stepping down, and with all the others, most of the others against whom allegations have been made in other fields, stepping down, this issue is going to escalate. And to say it's only limited to elite women, a handful of urban women, is, I think, to underestimate the importance of what is going on. Because for the first time, the silence has ended around sexual harassment. Even if there are women in the Hindi media, the regional media, others in the cities who are in working places, who are not in a position to speak out, today they at least have the option. If they were to decide to speak out, there will be other women who will stand by them. There will be lawyers who will fight their cases and fight it gratis. So that silence has been shattered, just as with the Nirbhaya case, a very important change had taken place. Normally the victim of rape was ostracized, stigmatized, but Nirbhaya became the icon of the nation. So that is the channel. So many women came out to say we were raped. These are very fundamental changes taking place in our country today, and not to recognize it, apart from managing the perception battle of how it's affecting the women, how they're affecting their personhood, autonomy, you know, the rage they are feeling. This is not good politics, I would say.
Right. Oh, absolutely, this is not good politics, but I don't know if this is the government's attempt to take on the Me Too movement at all. And you know, Ranjana Kumari, the BJP stand on allegations against Mr. Akbar do indicate that the government's intention seems to be to take on this entire Me Too campaign. Is that what is happening here? Because, you know, largely this is seen as an urban social media, Twitterati kind of a phenomena. It is not resonating still in large parts of the country. This is largely a white collar sort of, narrative that there is. Is this also an attempt to take on the movement altogether?
Well, I think certainly it is a big effort to stamp down this whole little bit of voice which is emerging from, it's tip of the iceberg. You know, every institution in this country, starting from a contractor who takes women to do the road construction work, who sexually exploits and harasses them, to bosses sitting in the corporate offices, and much more so in the entertainment industry and in politics. They are all in it together. I have said it from day one, and that is the reason they have all joined together. Can you imagine 97 lawyers trying to just protect one man in the country? Have you heard of any other case? There was such a huge case of Sabarimala. There was so many cases of, you know, all kinds of cases are in the courts pending and waiting, and people are contesting. 97 lawyers get together to defend one minister. This can happen only in our country, and this can only happen when this government is trying to be, all of them are together, silent. Have you heard of a single statement coming from any political leader of any significance who is saying that this is something very wrong? What inquiry? Even social media, when you have your account, you are already inquired about, especially at least the people who have the blue tag on them, they are already inquired about. So what is Amit Shah talking about? Is he talking about inquiring into what? I mean, their antecedents, who are these women? Same women will write an article about government.
Kumar, you're raising an important point there.
I think one thing I want to suggest before you close just one thing. Let all women journalists get together. If there is really a courage, just bring them down to their knees. Otherwise, either we lose or they lose. That is the situation at the moment. And that is why they have all got together to silence it forever. So that in future, when political women start coming out against them,
Ranjana Kumari, no denying that. But Flavia Agnes,
keep quiet, otherwise
Ranjana Kumari, no denying that. Flavia Agnes. Okay, Flavia Agnes, I'm coming to you, and the question really is, this powerful criminal, defamation case, one by Alok Nath, one by Chetan Bhagat, these are men who've got the money. These are men who have the resources. Chances are that women who've been subjugated to something like this, and I'm not sitting on judgment, I do think there should be inquiry, chances are that these women will not be so well healed. Do you believe this movement is going to be severely dented by the kind of legal recourse that these powerful men are taking?
It is important today to understand that women do not have that kind of power. They do not have that kind of representation in the court. And when you go into a criminal court with slapping a defamation case, you know what it means to the women who have been coming out and telling their stories, or to all the other women who have not come out but have a story to tell, that they will all go clamp down, they will all go into the shell, they will all be scared. This is an intimidating tactic, not just for one Priya Ramani, but it's for everybody else, all the other women in this country. When Menka Gandhi says, I stand with the Me Too campaign, I want women to come out, I want more women to come out. What does it mean when your own minister is filing a defamation suit against the person who has come out?
Exactly. And be allowed to continue in office. I couldn't agree with you more there. Yes. I don't think I'm sitting on judgment here. Okay, Flavia Agnes, I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you short there. I don't think I'm sitting on judgment here. I don't think we on social media or on electronic media or in print media need to sit on judgment and decide, be the judge, jury and executor in this. I think there needs to be an independent probe that needs to be followed. But for that independent probe to be followed, a very powerful man needs to vacate his position. That is what public probity. That is what public morality is all about. That is my basic limited point. But on that note, thank you very, very much, Nirja Chaudhary, Flavia Agnes, Smita Prakash, and of course Ranjana Kumari for joining us. As a parting note, in his first Independence Day speech in 2014 that many of us saw with great fascination, Prime Minister Modi had said that the country's head hangs in shame over incidents of rape. He had said, and I quote him here, when such incidents happen, parents question their daughters, and does anyone dare ask their sons? The question today, Mr. Prime Minister, is, are you questioning your minister? Thank you very much for being with us on this edition of the India Development Debate.